Meditation happens spontaneously as being opens up to the mind. You could say that meditation is the response of the mind to the presence of being. Something that causes the mind to surrender, to actually revert back toward its non-cognitive or precognitive source. And the way that happens is by letting the mind think its way into being, not stopping thinking. By allowing the mind to find its way to being, the mind will think itself down into that reality. In other words, the mere activity of thought is enough to magnetize the mind back down into its interior. Thought processes will naturally fade, become less impactful, less conscious, and move toward the subconscious and the unconscious, the preconscious, and then to the consciousness, to consciousness, the ness of consciousness. Consciousness just means the quality of the total opening of the mind to itself. That place from which all content emerges, all mental content. As the mind descends into meditation, into being, there can be some phenomenal states to be noticed. You can sense the emergence of various qualities in the silent mind that signal that being has presenced. One thing you can notice is a sense of desirelessness coming over you, peace. Your mind is not agitated. It has unwound itself from that superficial mood of thinking whereby everything is dualistic, everything is concrete, where the opposites battle. Rightly understood, meditation is removing oneself from the opposites. Where there's a single presence that holds everything together. This kind of experience can never be produced by force. You have to just make an atmosphere in which the mind feels comfortable enough to surrender to itself in that way. If there's any intimation of an authority or an outside threat, the mind will never surrender. It will resist, and it will contract into a ball of fear. The most important thing to emphasize is that meditation is not produced through effort, but through the effect the being has on the mind. What the being, the inner beingness, does to the active mind. In that you find meditation. Meditation as a happening, as an occurrence, not as an academic exercise or a spiritual exercise. So you don't know meditation until you meditate. You can't understand it beforehand. You may understand some concepts that others have provided, but that's not the same as directly interfacing in meditation with your own being. In the transmission of meditation, which is something that I offer, you have an open possibility for the dawning of the supreme state, the supreme consciousness. When the play of opposites ceases entirely in an individual mind, the supreme state dawns, the state beyond which you cannot travel. There's an end. There's a total ending to the journey. The human journey, the spiritual journey, the journey toward knowledge. However you conceive of the human predicament, what it's about. Here you will find, if you are lucky, a radical relationship in consciousness. You won't find a rigid spiritual teaching. That's not my department. I leave that to the religions who've messed everything up thus far. So if you want to continue to partake in religiosity, then be my guest. But be sure to read the history of religion before you do that, just to be honest with yourself. Religion has been the source of so much brutality, so much horror. So I want nothing to do with it. Any aspect of religion, anyone's religion. Nor am I a worshipper of science and what science has to offer. Science created the Industrial Revolution, so science is not very high on my list. The revolution of the industrial complex into the technocratic complex, and now the computerized complex that we're involved with, has produced its own forms of misery, and will continue to do so. Anytime the human being is treated as a fragment, as a piece to a bigger puzzle, and not as an end in itself, there will be more problems created. To get this holistic view of the human being, you have to go beyond the individual. You must go into being. Being is what will give you the complete sense of your own existence. Without being, there's no hope. You can believe in as many gods and goddesses as you like, but meditation itself is the gateway. Meditation goes through your thinking process. That's the gateway. The gateway to the Supreme.